Robert Burton is an angry and wealthy UConn football booster who apparently thinks he should have had a voice in the hiring of a new football coach. Joining us now, Rich Coppola, Fox Connecticut sports director. Our friend Scott Gray, 6-time Connecticut Sportscaster of the Year. You're, what, 7 times between you guys, 2 of the most venerable voices in sports.
Venerable. That means old, Rich.
This story is I think this is one of the most fascinating stories we've had in a long time. Booster issue, right? Money, who controls the athletic program? Communication issue. Is it time for Jeff Hathaway to go? Long-standing problems. What happens here? Because it seems to me, I'm going to predict this, guys, and you can go from there. I don't think Jeff Hathaway will survive this. I think he was right in what he did, but I think he gets fault for not managing and massaging a key booster where this kind of fiasco happens. Your thoughts?
Well, I agree, and a lot was written and said, and obviously, I think you can't, Phil Knight, the Nike founder, has donated over $100 million to Oregon. He can design the uniforms. He can't pick the coach, and we've seen other examples in the SEC. They'd laugh at $3 million coming from someone to a football program. I think when you're the athletic director, yeah, you can't let him have that much say, but you've got to play the game a little bit and make him feel that he's part of the process to some degree, and I think maybe that's where Jeff went wrong.
If you read the letter there, it feels like Burton felt like he was dismissed, that he wasn't brought into the room. Yep. He was maybe given some indication that he'd be brought into the room and felt that he was just disregarded and then told after the fact. Because he mentions that he didn't want veto power, but then he kind of makes clear that he didn't want to have a say in this. Scott,
well, he made it clear he didn't like the coach who was selected.
Right, Paul Pasquale.
There's some interesting things here. You're the third person this week who has suggested to me that they don't think Jeff Hathaway can survive this. Mm-hmm. I did a commentary earlier this week in which I concluded when business isn't good, you have to reassess the business manager or reevaluate the business manager. Absolutely. But do I think that Jeff Hathaway should be fired? No, I don't. I do stand by my comment that there should be a reevaluation of the position. Jeff Hathaway is not the greatest people person in the world, which isn't a fault of anybody. I've been accurately assessed as being socially awkward, so, some people have it and some people don't. Lou Perkins could have been, at times, an abrasive personality, and they had somebody at the university who could really work with boosters, and that was Paul Pendergast, now with St. Francis Hospital. He could make the smallest donor on campus feel like the most important man on campus.
That's a skill, though, right?
It is a skill, and that's why I say you've got to start to reassess, not necessarily Hathaway himself, but the position of athletic director.
And I'm not saying he'll be fired. I think at some point he'll walk away gracefully, because don't forget now, you have the specter of an NCAA report coming out of basketball.
Not fired so much as will he survive this?
I think he's smart enough to know he's been here, over a decade now, right? This guy, so he's a smart guy. He's got a great program under his watch. He didn't steal any money here. He's got a personality issue. I think he's smart enough to say, you know what? This is not good to lose a guy who's dumped $7 million into the program. Right. This is not good for me.
And if Jeff were to leave, it doesn't come out of left field. I mean, he's been rumored to go to several jobs, and I think rumored. And almost the coincidence or irony to this is, I heard a while ago that he was very, very close to going to Maryland.
Yes.
Now, much before Randy, and he may have gotten a little bit greedy with negotiations there. But from what I understand, he could have easily have gone to Maryland, and if he had him, obviously Randy Edsall would not have followed. This is not an indictment of Jeff. But there are some things, you have 2 Hall of Fame coaches, you had Randy, and it doesn't seem like he gets along with any of them. I mean, at what point, who's the common denominator there?
Right.
So
I think the thing you really have to, the worst thing about what happened this week is that it goes front page and it brings everything under a spotlight. Now you start looking at things that have been going on in the athletic department. Number one, every athletic director in every college in the country has a 500-page rule book that is very specific about what you can and cannot allow boosters to do. So you have to tread carefully with boosters. But to completely ignore a guy, that is definitely a no-no, especially somebody who's done that for you. But it put a spotlight on broader issues, like you look back over the years and the problems that have started to surface. Not just empty seats, but empty sections at basketball games. Then you have a $9 million reduction in giving to the athletic department over the last 5 years. You have a men's basketball program that the NCAA has charged severely lacks institutional control. So there are problems. All of them came to a head with this that happened this week, and that's why you've got to reassess. success. Jeff Hathaway is a great administrator. I really believe that. But you have to reassess what are the overall jobs of the athletic director and what has to be farmed out to other people.
And maybe it's not his fault, but happening under his watch. Here's a quote now from Burton that kind of lambasts Hathaway. Take a look. I am fed up with you as a manager because you did not let the process take place in an open manner. I believe that you are not qualified to be a D1 AD, and I would have fired you a long time ago. You do not have the skills to manage and cultivate new donors or the ability to work with coaches. The primary reason Randy Edsel took another job was because he could not work with you. See, this got personal. You could have probably salvaged this thing here if you had a ticked-off donor, but now it gets personal. It can't be salvaged, and it's too much money at stake. So again, you have an issue where AD is not getting along with at least some of the coaches, who has ticked off a major donor and has some other stuff going on there. Don't know how you can surprise these guys.
But to look at this maybe from the donor standpoint in another way, I'm pretty sure that any time you make a donation to a university, no matter how big or small, you have to sign a bunch of papers that sort of guards against this type of thing where all of a sudden you think you're going to be involved in the decision-making process. Did he forget about the papers he signed?
And I don't know that he can ask for his money back. I don't know if he can get it back. When I was talking about the reassessment, I wouldn't be surprised if that's already started, the reassessment of Jeff Hathaway's role as the athletic director, because this week Governor Malloy and President Hogan at the university met with Robert Burton themselves, removing Hathaway from that equation. They sat down with him. What can we do to iron this out?
Not Hogan, but the interim person. Now, whoever the interim after Hogan left, but the
no, Hogan is still there.
Oh, okay.
And I believe it was Michael Hogan.
Okay, he was there, but they have an interim president now.
Oh, yeah, I'm saying Michael Hogan. I'm sorry. I mean Phil Austin.
Right, Austin.
Excuse me. Phil Austin is still there. Austin and the governor met with Robert Burton and said, what can we do to iron this out? And I think that may have been the beginning of a restructuring of the athletic director's job.
We've got to iron this out later. Take a look at Bob Englehart's cartoon. We'll leave and iron this out at another segment. Englehart had a take on this.
You know what, Stan? That was pretty much the attitude of the people in the state, that he was a jerk. If he intended for this to go public, he was a jerk. But if he did intend it to be just between him and Jeff Hathaway, he had the right to say what he felt to Jeff Hathaway.
All right, we're going to continue this conversation with two of the venerable deans here in sports. When we come back, we'll talk to a Hartford actress who blew them away with her one-woman performance at the Wadsworth. Her name is Sherelle. You are watching the Stan Simpson Show. Catch us